With new advances in DNA technology, there have been a number of cold cases solved in the past few years. Cases that would have likely never been solved have been brought to the forefront, and many John and Jane Does have been given back their identities. However, there are still thousands of cases where individuals remain nameless. It's an unfortunate circumstance for most John or Jane Doe cases that the information provided is scarce. It's difficult to begin any sort of investigation when you can't even identify your victim. In today's short video, we hope to shed some light on 4 little-known cases that deserve justice, in the hopes that maybe someone out there can provide an answer as to who these individuals are. Number 1. Philadelphia John Doe. On July 8, 1977, just south of the Walt Whitman Bridge in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the body of a young Caucasian man was found along the train tracks of an industrial train yard. His cause of death was determined to be a gunshot wound, but was also reported to be burned across his body. Investigators put the young man's age around 16 to 18 years old, weighing roughly 140 pounds and an estimated height of 5 foot 8 inches tall. He was described as wearing blue trousers, white tennis shoes with blue soles, a red shirt, and high white socks. He was in a state of decomposition when found, with autopsy reports reporting that he had fine fly eggs laid in his eyes. There's little other information in regard to who this young man is, or the investigation into his death. Some online sleuths have gathered that his outfit seems to be red, white, and blue, and his body being discovered just a few days after the 4th of July, which could be coincidental. There is little in terms of residences in that part of South Philly, meaning the victim was most likely taken there or found himself there with the wrong crowd. Along with the clothing he was wearing, a red acrylic-type blanket was found nearby the body, perhaps used to wrap the victim up if he was indeed dumped there. But it's unclear how it is related. There is hope that his DNA could be tested, if there is any, as he was possibly a minor at the time of his death. One notable mention that the NamUS website leaves out is his front teeth seem to be overlapping, a distinct characteristic that could possibly help identify him. There's also an isotope test done, where the victim's teeth were analyzed to determine where they may have lived prior to their death. This testing determined that the victim most likely spent the last 10 years of his life in the US, and most likely in Pennsylvania. However, it is stated that the victim could have possibly lived in the Midwest or Southwest prior to his death in Pennsylvania. Isotope testing is not always consistent and tells us very little about the victim, but it could be possible that the victim was not native to Pennsylvania prior to his untimely death. If you have any information that can help identify this victim, please call the Philadelphia Police Department at 215-686-3388. Number 2. The Lincoln County Railcar John Doe. Over 63 years ago, in North Platte, Nebraska, a railcar pulled into the station. To the surprise of those unloading the various shipments, the remains of a man were found underneath the 2,500 pounds of ice on board that had originated from Roseville, California. Though investigators were unsure if the man was crushed by the ice or died by some other cause, they were also unable to obtain any information on the man's identity, as he carried none. The only thing in the man's pocket was a pack of cigarettes stamped with the seal of California sales tax, indicating the man must have hopped on board somewhere in California, or was from there. The man was described to be of African American descent, with brown hair and brown eyes, and despite possibly being deceased for a few days, was recognizable due to the ice he was found under, though he was not known by locals. Little else is known about the man, or what he was wearing. He was buried within days of being found in Lincoln County, where he remains all these decades later. Over the years, composite sketches of the man's face have been circulated, based on his description all the way back in 1961. Interestingly enough, this year, the DNA Doe Project got their hands on a sample of the man's DNA and processed it. However, even with today's technology, it did little in helping identify the man. According to the DNA Doe Project, the man has familial links from St. Landry Parish in Louisiana, and he himself may have been from Texas. It would appear that descendants of the man's family may have originated from here and moved to Texas, perhaps in the area of Houston or Beaumont, though there is no genealogical link to Nebraska. According to a lead researcher on the case, a mass migration started in the South in the early 1940s, with many African Americans leaving Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas, and Texas for the state of California, in search of better opportunities. They are asking the public if they have any family members who may have made this move and were never heard from again, to please come forward. In addition to this, they are also requesting anyone who has ever taken a direct-to-consumer DNA test, like 23andMe or Ancestry, to download their profile and upload it to one of the databases used by the Doe Project, like GEDmatch.com, FamilyTreeDNA.com, and DNAJustice.org. A new facial recognition of John Doe has been commissioned and shows what he may have looked like around 60 years old, the presumed age of the man at his death. If you have any information into the identity of John Doe, please reach out to the DNA Doe Project or contribute your DNA to one of the sites mentioned. They will be included in the description below. Number 3. Fayette County Jane Doe, or the Springhill Jane Doe. Yet another case with little to no information is that of the Fayette County or Springhill Jane Doe. On May 2, 1986, Pennsylvania State Police arrived at the scene of a tractor-trailer accident. Initial inspection of the scene revealed that the driver was deceased on impact, or shortly thereafter, and an unknown woman was found underneath the load of the trailer. To this day, the identity of the woman is unknown, despite having a detailed photograph of her post-mortem, which will be linked in the description due to sensitive subject matter. Jane Doe's age was presumed to be between 30 to 45, but most online sleuths tend to think she may have been a bit younger due to her full cheeks and overall youthful appearance. To add to the mystery, the truck driver's route was to take him from Sparrows Point, Maryland to Richmond, Kentucky, with Springhill, PA being almost 3 hours out of the way. The only identifiable things on Jane Doe's person were her clothing, jeans, a button-up shirt, white sneakers, and socks, as well as a pack of Marlboro cigarettes, a thin gold necklace, a pair of miniature handcuffs, a set of keys on a ring that had, quote, hot and horny, end quote, engraved upon it, and $333 in cash. It is unknown if Jane Doe was in the box of the trailer or in the cab and was thrown out during the accident. Some believe that she may have been a stowaway, or perhaps the truck driver was helping someone in need. Others seem to think that based on the keychain and the amount of cash on her person, that she may have been a sex worker. The location of the truck and being so far from its intended route is a puzzling piece of this case, and without further information into the woman's identity, might likely never be ascertained. According to NamUS, her DNA is on file, and there has been recent press coverage about the cold case. Anyone with information into the identity of Jane Doe should reach out to the Pennsylvania State Police at 724-439-7111. Number 4. Barstow County Jane Doe. Our final case is quite a macabre one. On February 10, 2010, a man was out collecting cans off Lenwood Road in Barstow, California, when he stumbled upon a black Everest branded backpack. Inside was the severed head of a woman. In a state of shock and disbelief, he reached out to the local police, who arrived and immediately began processing the scene. When removing the head from the backpack, investigators noted that it was wrapped in 2 plastic bags, one from Walgreens and the other from Fiesta Foods, a supermarket chain based in Washington State. Further details about the woman's identity, like her height and weight, could not be determined, even after extensive searches of the area, with police finding no other traces of her body. The head was sent for autopsy with the determination that she could have likely died 3 to 4 days earlier. Observable information that could be determined was that the woman appeared to be of Hispanic or Southern European descent, her eyes brown as well as her hair, with what appeared to be red highlights. They put her age around 14 to 19 years old, and she had several quality fillings in her teeth, showing extensive dental work and care. Reconstructions of her face have been made, but authorities have mentioned that these may not be necessarily accurate due to what appears to be intentional mutilation of the face. Processing of the backpack also revealed no useful information. There is speculation that the woman could be from out of state, due to the presence of the Fiesta Foods bag found wrapped around her head. There has been little to no information provided into the investigation about the woman's identity, with authorities also uncertain she was even murdered, as they could not determine a cause of death due to the lack of the body. However, the finding of her severed head in a bag would strongly imply foul play. The most recent update in the case is from 2021, when San Bernardino County officials teamed up with Barbara Ray Venter to help identify the woman. Ray Venter is renowned for her work in identifying the Golden State Killer, and was able to determine through DNA that Jane Doe has distant relations in Mexican and Italian ancestry. Since then, there has been no update, but there is hope that Jane Doe can find her name again soon and be brought to justice. If you have any information about Jane Doe's identity, please reach out to the Barstow Police Department at 760-256-2211.